The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
You just see cuts happening.
What did that, Lieutenant?
I don't know.
Tina! What's the coroner got to say? He's in the jar and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Everybody, it's your man Gillis the Kid. I'm back with another video. I'm here again with my friend Mike, and we just saw Nightmare on M Street, the old Nightmare on M Street,
the original. Yeah.
So, well, this is like a DVD. They have the first, second, third, and fourth. We'll get into that in a second, but just to show you what it looked like. So, to someone who's never seen this movie before, like, what would you?
We'll start with his origin, how he became what he is today.
Yeah.
You have to go back to his mother, Amanda Kruger, and she worked. It was like an insane asylum. It was, where the loonies were all together. And supposedly what happened was she was raped. She was raped by the loonies, and then she had that's when she gave birth to Freddie. And then, so you figure, you fast forward to when Freddie was a kid. He was, I believe, he was bullied a lot. He was picked on, and people, made fun of him and everything. And then, of course, and then he got older, and that's when pretty much the murder started to happen. He started killing. But
they never kids. Did they say that in the movie? Like his mother was like crazy or something?
Well, remember the movie. She told the mother told Nancy, played by Heather Langenkamp, about. How he was killing people and everything.
Right.
She was telling the story. So he was a child killer. He was killing all children. He was taking them to an abandoned boiler room of theirs, and that's where he was killing them. And then of course the parents eventually found out where he was, and that's when they set the whole place on fire, and they burned him, of course. And then so technically in reality he was dead. And then, what happened was he was eventually, he would start appearing in the dreams, people's dreams.
So the movie starts out with like Tina Gray.
Right.
So they're in high school though, right?
High school or college?
I think that was high school.
Was it high school? Okay.
Because there's a time in the movie where like she's like, oh, I look 20 years old.
Right.
So they had to be in high school.
Right.
Oh, it features Johnny Depp too.
That's right, and Johnny Depp, of course, one of his first movie role for him.
It might have been his first movie.
First movie role, and then,
but he did do 21 Jump Street.
He did the TV show 21 Jump Street, and then of course, in the future he went on to do in the 80s. Of course, he did Edward Scissorhands, which was directed by Tim Burton, which also starred Cher. And then, of course, he did a lot of great movies. He did Sleepy Hollow. That was a great Halloween movie. Jack the Ripper. And then, of course, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Caribbean.
I mean, that was, of course, he played Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah. And that's, and he launched, and that's when his career, moved on up, as they say. So,
it starts out with Tina.
Right.
And she's having these nightmares. She doesn't even know that the rest of them had the same nightmare.
No, eventually.
When does she find that out?
Well, eventually Nancy, they all had to get together at her house, because she was scared. She was, basically she was just scared of having these dreams, and that's when they had to get together. And then eventually Nancy told her, say I dreamed about this guy in a dirty red and green sweater. And then Johnny Depp never really mentioned about it, but it was Rod, her friend Rod, right? He mentioned it, and
Rod, who was Tina's boyfriend,
right? He was a boyfriend, and then eventually, of course, we know what happened with Tina. Freddie was she was the the first victim.
So Tina, she has the nightmares.
She has a nightmare. Yeah.
Eventually, she finds out everyone has the same nightmare.
Right.
They're sleeping over. Eventually, she gets killed by Freddy.
Right, and Rob watches the whole thing.
Well, he made it. First of all, Rob had like a rap sheet.
Right.
So he had previously he was like arrested for drugs and all types of shit. So by him leaving the crime scene, it made it bad for him.
Right. I mean, it's kind of sad though, to watch your girlfriend getting killed right in front of you, and seeing the whole thing. She was up in the air. We saw she was up in the air. The blood was coming out in there. The bed was on.
They did that before, like in the later ones, with the whole like invisible Freddy and
right.
Yeah. So they did that before.
Right. So then eventually, of course, Rod gets arrested. Nancy. She was. It was almost like she was the setup person, because they were following. His father was following Nancy, of course, played by John Saxon, who did a lot of movies. He teamed up with Bruce Lee. He did a lot of the martial arts movies together.
That was him.
That was John Saxon. Yeah, in the early, they were.
Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. Right. Yeah. He did a lot of those martial arts movies.
I knew he looked familiar.
Bruce Lee. Yep, that was him. So so Rod gets arrested, and then and then pretty much Freddy eventually targets everybody else, including Nancy, of course. Mm-hmm. And then of course Glenn. Eventually, what happened with him? He eventually gets killed.
Rob, he gets arrested.
Rod, yeah,
and he gets killed in the cell.
Right, the sheet, his bed sheet gets wrapped around his neck, and then he's falling. He's like, oh, help! And then he ends up, and people thought he hung himself, I guess.
Like, here's the thing, though: why didn't Freddy go after the parents? Like, why do he?
I don't know.
Is it because he was just like a pedophile and he just liked to kill kids?
Kids? I mean, maybe because...
Like, why didn't he just, like... Because her mom was an easy target. Like, she always drank, so why didn't Freddy just...
Kill her when she was drunk? When she was drunk, right?
Well, he could have killed... He could have killed all the parents if he wanted to. I guess they wasn't as strong as the kids in their dreams.
Yeah, because... Well, if you remember... Part 2, we'll eventually get to that one in the future. Remember the one scene where he was at the party? Remember, and Eve was killing all the kids. And remember the scene where he goes, "You're all my children now."
Okay.
And then that was.
Wasn't they having like a barbecue or something? And he comes in like guts everybody.
Yeah, it was. It was just the guy who played Jesse. I think it was his real name, Bill Paxton. It wasn't Bill Paxton, but it was his girlfriend's party. It wasn't a birthday party. It was just like I think it was just like a regular get together.
Yeah. And
eventually, and that's what happened in part 2. But then, of course, the main focus back to Nancy. Of course, eventually she found out who Freddy was. She remember at the when she was in that, what was it, a clinic? What was that place? She was I forget what that was, a clinic or something.
Well, she went to a clinic.
That's what it was. Yeah,
for like therapy.
And they put her right. That's when they put her. She went to sleep, and then eventually she found that Freddy's hat. She pulled the hat out of the dream. And that's when she knew.
Dream Clinic.
The Dream Clinic. Maybe that's what it was. Dream Clinic, and found out, of course, it was. It's Freddy Krueger, because she saw the hat. The hat had his name on it, Fred Krueger. So then, of course, that's when the mother and the father. That's when they kept telling you, Freddy's dead. Freddy can't come after you. So they thought she was, because they kept thinking she was crazy.
Was pretty creepy too.
Yeah, she was.
Well, when I first saw the movie, I'm like, the mother's like pretty creepy. So
anyway, all right. So then. So eventually, Nancy finds out, who finds out it's Freddy that's been killing the people in the dreams. And as we said, eventually, Glenn, he gets a big time. He gets pulled under the bed, and all of a sudden
he didn't have a chance.
Nah, he
didn't fight or anything.
Right, he was just, well, first of all, he had his music on, so and he had the TV on at the same time. And then and then you see this claw come out, and then he pulls him under the bed, and of course all of a sudden you see the blood splashing up in the air, up all over the walls and everything.
Well, the other ones they actually fought them off a bit.
Right.
So basically, Nancy, she figures out that she can actually pull Freddy out of the dream.
Right. She had to hold him. She had to hold him to bring him out, because she figured if she could bring the hat out, then he can come out.
Right.
So that's what she was doing. She held him, and then eventually when she woke up, and then eventually he came out, and then he was back in reality, I guess you can say.
Right.
And then the chase was on, and then she had that's when she set up the booby traps. She kept trying to get her. The father was at the house, Glenn's house across the street. Dad, oh my God, get over here! And then eventually he came over. And
why'd she put bars up though?
I guess so. The mother thought that she couldn't escape.
But wasn't remember in the back of the house there was nothing there. Could she just ran around the side?
Maybe. But you saw eventually she couldn't get out of the house, because I think the mother locked the door. Because remember when she was on the laying on the couch, remember she's like locked. You're not going anywhere. So she couldn't get out of the house, and then that's when the father came over and barged in, and then you saw and then of course Freddy was set on fire. Nancy blew the gasoline or whatever.
So what is Freddy's weakness?
I think basically
it was fire, wasn't it?
Fire, yeah. I mean, when he was on fire, he couldn't...
Well, remember how Jason was afraid of the water?
Afraid of water, right? Because he drowned. That's what happened. He drowned when he was a kid, and then he wouldn't...
He would not swim out.
No, I mean...
eventually...
Well, remember part 6. Remember part 6 when Tommy was calling him? He was in the boat, remember? And and he called him, Jason, come here. It's me you want, remember? And remember Jason walked... And he did. He walked in the water... He walked in. He went underneath, okay. and then remember he splashed out, and and then he was grabbing him, and then he set the gasoline. He set the fire around the water. So then eventually, and then he put the chain around his neck, and then he was underneath the water.
So Freddy is. So if you burn Freddy, it's like what happens to him?
I don't think he can kill him in the dream either. I mean, it seems like because what do you think of it? I mean, they made a whole bunch. They made a lot of them afterwards. He just kept coming back. I mean, part 3. He had the holy water. What else? The crucifix.
What was the how did they get rid of Freddy though? Not including the Freddy versus Jason, but what was the last draw for Freddy like? Wasn't it Jason Goes to Hell or something like that?
Well, Jason Goes to Hell.
How did they ever kill Freddy? Because they keep rebooting the series.
I know. Well, they did. As I said, they did Wes Craven's New Nightmare in '94, and that was a whole different storyline, because in that one, it was supposed to be Freddy Krueger, he was a real person, a real Freddy. It wasn't Robert Englund that played Freddy. It was a real actor, a real Freddy Krueger. And he killed people in that one. But that's the problem. I mean, he would just keep coming back.
That's crazy.
Like I said, he got the holy water in part 3, and part 4 because they had his bones. His bones was in part 3. I remember the doctor. That's when he put the ash. He put the holy water and everything on top.
Right.
And then those same bones were in part 4. And then if you remember, the bones would come together, and then he turned in. He came back. He just came back to life in that one.
Well, Nancy, I don't think she was in the second one, was she?
No, she wasn't. She was in. She came back in part 3.
Yeah,
she came back in part 3, and John Saxon came back in part 3 too. Yeah, so you have.
I don't think part 2 had. Or I don't think Wes Craven had anything to do with it.
I don't think he directed it. I don't even remember if Robert Shea had, because he was one of the other guys who helped out with the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he did. I mean, I think the third one he helped out in that one, but part 2, yeah, I don't think he did. Well, part 2 was pretty much a whole different story in that one. I know we'll get to that one in the future. And then, because pretty much part 3 picks up, because Nancy's back in that one, and like I said, John Saxon, he's in that one too. So pretty much part 1 is just, they have, like I said, they battle at the end, Nancy and Freddy, and then, and remember at the end with Nancy when she says, I know your weakness or something.
So that was when they got in their car.
Well, I'm talking about. Remember when she grabbed the doorknob? Yeah. Remember he was about to kill her, and he just fades away.
So she realized that by not believing in him, or
Right.
giving him the energy. So like the more you fear him, the more he exists. So that's why she.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense now because remember in Freddy versus Jason, remember he kept saying that people were forgetting about it.
Yeah.
So the storyline was he used Jason to kill people so they would be scared. And I think the more people would get scared, then that's when Freddy will be able
Right.
to come back and kill people.
That
kill
I mean
people again.
that was a clever plot.
Right.
So, but that's basically how it works. The
Right.
more you're afraid of, or you believe in Freddy,
Right.
the more he's gonna exist.
So yeah, and I guess that's how part one pretty much ended. That at the end, like you said, it looked like he disappeared, but then they got in the car and then you saw they drove away by itself, and then you see the mother at the door. She was waving, and you just see him pop through the glass and grab his arm. And take him.
What are some like memorable scenes like that you remember? Like if somebody say, "What do you remember?" Like just off the bat, because I remember like the tub scene.
Right.
Like I remember that.
Yeah, the gloves coming out.
One of the other scenes that got to me when I was a kid was like the hallway.
Oh, of
Like
course.
when teen
That was they're in the body bag or whatever.
that,
It's like Nancy,
that was pretty
Nancy.
scary. Like that got to me.
Right. It's tough. I mean, like I said, the scene. The scene with Johnny Depp I thought was definitely crazy. When he got pulled in and you see all the blood splashing all over the place. And it's a lot of crazy. Trust me. All the other ones. There's a lot. Like I said, I said in our last one, I said part 4 was my favorite because, like I said, I love the scene when he kills Joey. From the waterbed scene when he comes out out of the water and then he drowns because he saw the girl. It was a girl. It was a poster of a girl. A poster of a girl up there, but then she was in the water.
Oh, okay.
And he saw her, and eventually Freddy popped out. So.
I think I remember like some parts of different movies.
Right.
I remember one time they had like a marathon on I think it was it like AMC or something?
AMC.
Sci-Fi, AMC. One
Maybe
of them
could be the when they have the Monster Fest on AMC because they usually do the Halloween movies and the Friday the 13th.
So we have, let me see. So there's Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge,
Right.
which is I guess he's coming back.
Well, yeah,
There's Dream Warriors,
we'll talk about that
which
one in
is
the future.
part 3, and then
Right.
the Dream Master.
Dream Master. That's my top. That's probably one of my. That's my
And
favorite.
you can get all 4 on one DVD if you manage to find this. But don't they have like a box set or something like that?
They do. They have, like I said, in the last one, I have the one box, as I said before. It's 1 to 7 up to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. The other ones were separate, Freddy versus Jason and all them. They were in separate. That was in a separate box set. But well, yeah, you can find, like I said, you can find them at Best Buy. You can find them on Amazon. Amazon has everything. So for you horror fans out there, you'll find it. Just look online or look in your Best Buy or Netflix.
Pretty memorable movie.
Right.
Actually, it's considered one of the like greatest horror movies of all time. Like right alongside
Halloween,
Friday
the
the 13th.
13th.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's three. They're three. Freddy, Michael Myers, and Jason. They're three legends. Wouldn't it be cool? Hey, wouldn't it be cool if they can have like in wrestling, a 3-way dance, and they all just bow it out at the end. So and find out who the true horror legend is.
One scene I do want to point out is when Johnny Depp, he's crawling in through the window,
Right.
and then Wes Craven, made Scream, and then in Scream, there's I think it was Bobby, and he's climbing through the window.
Okay, I never
Like it's
saw.
the same thing. You know?
Okay, I know.
I
never
just
saw-
noticed that.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
I never saw the
Yeah.
Scream. But so, I tell you what, speaking of Johnny Depp, if you remember too, in Freddy's Revenge, if you remember, he had a cameo in Freddy's in Freddy's Revenge, or not Freddy's Revenge. I'm sorry. Freddy's The Final Nightmare. Remember the scene with Spencer or Spence, played by Breckenmeyer, when he fell asleep and he had the TV. Remember, he was on the TV with the
Okay.
He was cooking the egg. Remember, he goes, "All right, it's time once again. This is your brain." That was that scene. That was Johnny Depp. I believe
didn't
it was.
know that.
I believe it was. I think he had a cameo. Well, and that was an all-star. And that a lot of cameos in that one. You had Alice Cooper. He had a cameo. Roseanne and at the time she was I think she was Roseanne Arnold, I believe, because Tom Arnold
Right.
had the cameos. I think at the time they were married. So that was yeah. So he had a few cameos in Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
So isn't they so they rebooted Nightmare on Elm Street. Did you see that one?
In 2010, I
Yeah.
believe it was. I did. I did play. Yeah,
I had mixed feelings about that.
he was played by Freddy Krueger was played by Jackie Earl Haley, who did. I don't know too many of his movies. I just know he did when he was a kid. The Bad News Bears, I believe it was called. It was a little league baseball movie. It was okay. I wasn't real excited about it. I mean, I saw it in the theater, but then this one they made him more mysterious and a little more scarier. But I still say
wasn't his
Robert
face
Englund.
like all CG'd? See, that's what I don't like.
Yeah, Robert. You can't talk Robert Englund.
Well, yeah, the older movies with the
Right.
animatronics and
Right.
the makeup, like
Right.
now it's just CGI
Yeah.
and
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay, but I still you can't Robert. You got to stick with Robert Englund. And if you remember a couple weeks ago, he appeared on an episode of The Goldbergs, and it was neat too because he played Freddy. He wore the makeup on. And it had to be the first time in a long time that it probably had to be since Freddy vs. Jason, if I'm saying right, that he wore the makeup. So I thought that was neat that he donned the makeup one more time to play Freddy Krueger. So
I do have the glove. I just didn't.
you didn't get the show. Maybe when we do part 2 of the other Nightmare on Elm Streets, we'll get to that one. So
They made some really good replicas of the gloves.
Right.
So
yeah. So part 1, no doubt, it's a classic.
that's a classic.
That's a classic. And we'll get to, and obviously the next one will be part 2. And part 2 it wasn't exactly my favorite, but it had its moments.
You don't have to watch that if you
Yeah.
don't want to.
I mean, it has its funny moments in the movie, but it wasn't. I wasn't too much of a big fan, but it has a few funny moments in that one. So we'll talk about that one, of course, in the future. But obviously, part 1, a great movie, classic. And and as we said, Johnny
Good
Depp,
actors.
good actors, and as we said, of course, Johnny Depp, making his went on to do debut and do great movies in the future. So
So aren't they doing another remake? I seen like a trailer to like a new Freddy Krueger.
I haven't heard.
Well, I know they're remaking Chucky. Like I seen a new trailer for Chucky.
Another Chucky.
Another Chucky.
Another Chucky.
And
I
then
can't believe
I'm
that.
pretty sure they if I find it, I'll drop it down into the description. But
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're rebooting Freddy again.
I'll keep an eye on YouTube. Keep an eye on demand. The trailer will be up down the road.
Yeah.
I can't believe, Child's Play. I can't believe they're doing another one. I mean, because wasn't the last one
I swear, I'm pretty sure I seen
the
a
last one
Chucky
was
trailer.
the last one was Cult of Chucky, right?
Yeah.
Was that the last one?
Yeah.
Wow, unbelievable.
What are you gonna do? That's Hollywood.
And the problem is, those movies that they keep rebooting, they're not going to be as good as the originals.
No way.
They're going down.
No way.
No way.
Well, I mean, that's all I have.
Me too.
I think we pretty much covered
we're
everything.
we're running out of stuff. So I think we're good. So like I said, one more time, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, classic. Watch it if you haven't seen it yet, and then continue if you want to go in order. Like I said, part 2. I might want to. I would skip part 2 and go to part 3 and go
Even
beyond.
if you don't watch part 2, I don't even,
Well, like I said, because part 2 doesn't really have too much to do with.
Right,
going
you could
into part
skip
3,
it and then go to 3 and then
Exactly.
continue the story.
That's what I said. Go to part 3 and go on from there. That's just my opinion. So
Yeah, that's all I got.
I think we're good.
Thank you once again for coming over.
No problem, Gils.
We will have some more videos, some more horror videos coming up soon from the 80s. I got a couple of ideas. But I'm going to leave the video here, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.